Beginning, the Queen's challenge. The Great Hall of Zynara Prime was carved from crystal that shimmered like molten stars. Each beam of refracted light danced along the marble floor, bouncing off the armor of alien nobles gathered in silence. Thousands stood in that throne chamber, warlords, advisors, soldiers, priests, and envoys from distant galaxies, yet not one dared to speak. At the end of the grand hall stood Queen Lysira of the Zynarans, the ruler of one of the most powerful empires in the Orion Arm. Her tall, slender form was wrapped in a gown woven from the light of her planet's twin suns. Her skin was a luminous shade of violet, her eyes deep silver, regal, calculating, yet weary. Her empire had been without peace for decades. Rebellion brewed across star systems, and a prophecy had whispered that Zynara would fall unless its ruler took a husband not born of her world. Lysira had dismissed it as myth until the High Seer's vision came true, an attack that nearly shattered her throne. Now, as her people demanded stability, she had no choice but to fulfill the prophecy. "My people," she called out, her voice echoing like thunder through the crystalline chamber. "You demand unity. You demand strength. Then hear my decree, I will take a husband." The court gasped, but Lysira continued. "Only one shall be worthy, the one who dares to step forward and face the trials of the crown bond." She looked across the sea of alien faces. None moved. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then a voice, human and steady, broke through the crowd. "I'll do it," he said. Every head turned. Standing among the armored Zynarans was Captain Aaron Blake, a Terran diplomat assigned to represent Earth in Zynaran negotiations. He wasn't tall compared to the aliens, but there was something about his presence, his calm defiance, that made him stand out like a spark in the void. Lysira's eyes locked onto his. "You are human," she said, her tone a mix of curiosity and disbelief. "Yes," Aaron said, stepping forward. "And you said anyone brave enough. I might not be of your world, but I know courage." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Laughter from the alien generals, whispers from the nobles, and shock from the seer herself. The Queen's gaze hardened. "You would risk your life for a throne not your own?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Sometimes, peace needs someone who doesn't belong to either side." Lysira studied him. His heart rate was steady, his eyes unwavering. He wasn't joking. The alien queen, who had faced assassins and wars, found herself unsettled for the first time. "Very well," she said finally. "Let it be recorded. The human shall face the trials of the crown. The trials of the crown." That night, Aaron was taken to the Hall of Echoes, where the ancient trials were held. No outsider had ever survived them. The first test began beneath the Temple of Suns, a labyrinth of molten glass and floating stones. A voice echoed through his mind, Lysira's voice, transmitted telepathically through the crown's psychic link. "If you wish to bind yourself to Zynara, prove your endurance. The crown does not suffer the weak." The heat was unbearable. Rivers of glowing plasma surged below as Aaron leapt from one floating shard to another. His boots melted at the edges, and every breath felt like fire, but he pressed on. Images from his life flashed before him, his mother's voice, the sound of rain on old Terran streets, the memory of every fallen soldier he had failed to save in the Earth-Zynaran war. But then Lysira's voice softened. "Why do you persist, human?" Aaron paused, sweat dripping into his eyes. "Because no one else will," he said. "And because maybe, your people deserve someone who isn't afraid of you." A silence followed, not of disapproval, but of contemplation. He completed the first trial. The second test was held within the Mirror Vault, a psychic realm that reflected one's deepest fears. As Aaron stepped inside, he saw thousands of versions of himself, soldiers, cowards, tyrants, heroes, all whispering that he was unworthy. When the mirror cracked, Lysira appeared beside him, her reflection, not her body. "Why fight for a world that will never accept you?" she asked. "Because I don't need them to accept me," Aaron replied. "I just need one person to believe I'm enough." The mirror shattered completely. By the third trial, the bond of light, a ritual that merged their minds, Lysera had begun to see fragments of his memories. The weight of human loneliness, the compassion he carried, the guilt of endless wars. And she felt something she hadn't in years: empathy. When the final light faded, Aaron collapsed, trembling but alive. The chamber erupted in disbelief. The High Seer knelt before the Queen. "The prophecy is fulfilled, my Queen. The stranger of another star has proven himself." Lysera stood silently. She looked at Aaron, this fragile, mortal creature, and saw strength she could not define. "Rise, Aaron Blake of Earth," she said. "You have faced the crown and lived. The wedding of worlds." A week later, the union ceremony was announced across every Zynaran world. For the first time in history, an alien queen would take a human as her consort. Aaron was dressed in ceremonial armor forged from starlight alloy. Lysera stood beside him, radiant in silver and violet robes. The galaxy watched as they stood before the throne of suns, their hands glowing with the psychic energy of the bond. As the seer began the sacred chant, Aaron whispered, "You don't have to do this if you don't want to." Lysera looked at him, really looked, and smiled faintly. "You faced death for my people, human. It would be unworthy of me to fear love." The words resonated through every telepath in the court. For a species that saw emotion as weakness, the Queen's admission was revolutionary. Then, just as the ceremony reached its climax, the hall trembled. Conflict, the betrayal of the generals. A blast shook the throne room. The great windows shattered. Soldiers screamed. The Queen's personal guard fell to their knees as a dark figure appeared, General Kayla, leader of the royal fleet and Lysera's most trusted warrior. "You would betray your kind for a human?" Kayla roared. His armor gleamed red, pulsing with rage. The prophecy was a lie. The human must die. The guards hesitated. Their loyalty was divided between the Queen and the general who had led them for decades. Aaron stepped in front of Lysera instinctively. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." Kayla sneered. "You are nothing." The general lunged. His blade of plasma sliced through the air, but Aaron managed to parry with a ceremonial staff. The clash of alien metal against light echoed through the chamber. Sparks flew as the two fought beneath the shattered dome of the Zynaran throne. Lysera shouted, summoning her psychic energy. A vortex of silver flame erupted around her. "Enough." Kayla turned, eyes blazing. "You have doomed us all, Lysera. The prophecy will destroy Zynara." With a single thought, Lysera unleashed a wave of energy that shattered Kayla's weapon and hurled him across the room. He fell to his knees, bleeding silver. You have bound our fate to a human." Lysera approached him, eyes cold. "Perhaps that is what we needed, to remember that all life is bound by the same stars." Kayla slumped, defeated. Aaron reached out, steadying the Queen as her strength faltered. Their hands touched, and a surge of light radiated through the hall, the bond of two worlds sealing not just a marriage, but a new age of peace.